There we go. And we are live. Well, good morning to everyone watching today. This is Yvonne DeVita with BlogPaws, and we have another episode of BlogPaws Cares and Shares. And we have two important ladies here today, two of our speakers who are going to talk to us today about authenticity, building readership, and just being a better blogger. I'd like to welcome Karon Thackston and Maggie Marton. So, Karon, tell us a little bit more about yourself.
Well, I am a dog lover at heart. I'm actually a dog-loving city girl that somehow or the other ended up on 4 acres in the country with a whole house full of cats. I'm not exactly sure how that happened. But have been an animal lover of the truest form since I was just a tiny little kid, and have built a lot of that into my business. At Marketing Words, we help people rank higher and convert better and sell more, whether that's through blogging or through other types of marketing online. So we get to play around with veterinarians and kennels and all sorts of pet-loving businesses, and it's a real joy to be able to combine something you're passionate about in your personal life with something you're passionate about in your business life.
I agree, and we lost you there for a couple seconds, but I don't think we missed anything. I agree, and I'm excited to hear about what you have to tell us today. Maggie Marton, you've been around a while. Many of our bloggers know you. Tell us a little bit more and update us on your background and what's up with you.
Sure. I got here in a roundabout way. I had a bunch of different communications roles until 2010 when I got downsized, which at the time seemed devastating. But it turns out it was the best thing that ever could have happened. Kind of like what Karon was just saying, I think it's so important to create a life that you love and you're passionate about, and work is such a big part of that. So I took my layoff as an opportunity to create that for myself. I sort of cobbled together 3 different jobs. I work as a freelance writer, largely in the pet industry. I teach writing courses 2 mornings a week, and I run my website, ohmydogblog.com. Perfection.
Wow, yeah. So, ladies, I'm impressed, and I think both of you bring something not only unique but much needed to the BlogPaws community. Karon, let's start with you a little bit, because you mentioned that it isn't just blogging and social media. You kind of look at the big picture, and you can help people with more than just making their blog better. Tell us a little bit about that. Do you have any pointers you can throw out at us today?
Pointers I can throw out about
how to build readership, how to make your work online effective, whether it's a blog or anything else.
Sure. A lot of times what happens that holds people back in their blogging and their other marketing efforts is that they tend to be a little bit too transparent when it comes, and we're talking about authenticity a lot, but frequently marketing has to do a lot with being maybe a little bit mysterious, piquing some curiosity. So through blog titles, through email subject lines, through any Facebook ads or any other type of communication that you have that is really short, which is generally what kicks off any type of marketing funnel, it's a good idea to drop some crumbs, some breadcrumbs, leave some little clues, make people, say, wonder what that's all about, instead of just blurting out whatever it is that you want to communicate with. And we have found that when you have a little bit of mystery, a little bit of fascination mixed in with the information that you provide through your blog, it actually brings people in with more interest because they're trying to solve the problem that you stated in your headline or the topic that you have expressed in an email subject line. If you're sending out blog notices via email and things of that nature, they want to find out what the next step is. So adding a little bit of curiosity and mystery in with your authenticity can bring some better readership for you.
That makes sense. It really, really does. And I don't think people think about that when they're writing in their blog. So, Maggie, what would you say to that about the authenticity part? And I can tell you back in the early days of blogging, when it was mostly the people I hung out with were mostly women bloggers, the big question was, how much do you actually share on your blog about who you are? So does that go to authenticity?
It absolutely does. I don't think authenticity means putting every single little detail out there, though. It's more about being true to you and to yourself. And I think if you have followed Karon's strategies and you've set up those breadcrumbs and some new readers have followed them, when they ultimately land on your site, they want to get a sense of who you are as an author. The blogging space is very full, and we have very limited amount of time to engage with the blogs we want to engage with. And so if you can establish that sense of trust with your readers, if they can feel an emotional connection to you and your story and your voice, you can be completely authentic, 100% yourself, but you can still hold some things back. You don't have to put it all out there.
That makes sense. We have a question from Kimberly Gauthier, and it's a really, really good question. She wants to know how you remain authentic while also charging, because she's had some issues when she does product reviews on her specific niche, and she's a very, very niche blogger. She says her credibility and honesty's been questioned.
I think that is such a good question, and it's something that I really struggled with in the early days of blogging, because there's something so exciting and rewarding about getting that email from a brand that says, hey, I love your work, can I send you some stuff? And at first, it's so easy to get swept up in that excitement, and you get an offer for a sponsored post that has a dollar value, so your blog is no longer just paying hosting fees. You can make some of that money back. But what it comes down to is, sure, there's going to be some trial and error, and I think most people are going to struggle with that a little bit in the beginning. But if you find what your gut is telling you, if you can listen to your heart, if an opportunity sounds exciting because of the money, but not because of the product or the brand or the story, then pass. Other opportunities will come along, and I definitely got swept up in the excitement of that. And there are some posts that I look at now and cringe and wish that I had never posted them. That comes with time and practice and just learning how to listen to your instincts and to follow them.
That makes sense. Karon, do you have anything to add to that?
If you're going to make a practice of promoting the fact that you are available to write paid reviews, you may want to incorporate on the page that you explain your policies and whatnot that these are subject to your approval, so that any advertisers or any brands that come to you in the first place that are looking to have you write a review and pay you for it understand that if you get the product and it isn't something that you're comfortable writing it about, you would not give a favorable review, that you're certainly not going to write something that's false or something that makes you uncomfortable. And that way, when you're approached, you can direct the brands to this page that outlines everything, and they see that portion, and that way you're not uncomfortable coming back to them and going, that gizmo you sent me broke when I took it out of the box, and I'm really not comfortable saying that this is a wonderful thing for my followers to purchase. And it gets you off the hook in advance, so you're not in a bad place later on.
Interesting. Yeah, I will tell Kimberly that I've been blogging a long time, and I don't blog for free. If my readers don't like it, they can go away. I have never had a problem. I stayed up front that I blog. This is part of my work, part of my job, and if there are readers who don't appreciate that, I appreciate that they want to go elsewhere. But my opinion is not for sale. And I let everyone know that. It isn't my opinion you're getting here. It's my feelings on this product that a brand asked me to share. And they're paying for my time because, in the end, the product doesn't put food in my refrigerator or keep my lights on.
Right.
So that's how I feel. I also feel that the blogger has to make an individual choice. And there are many times when, if your loyal readers are a little uncomfortable with that, then maybe you need to step back and find other ways to produce the content that will help make this return on your investment. So it all depends on what you're doing, who you are, and how close you are to the readers and things. But I love the way you ladies think, because as we grow in the blogosphere and as BlogPaws grows, we're finding more and more brands who want to engage with bloggers, and we want to teach the bloggers how to manage that. So thank you, Kimberly, for that question. It was fabulous. So let's get into social media a little bit. Karon, how much should we be doing social media to the detriment of our blog or whatever? How do you build the right social media amount into building your readership?
Well, you have to test, first of all, to see what's going to be the right amount for you and your readership. I have gone from one blog post, one social media post a day, all the way up to 9 or 10 social media posts every day in an effort to test what my followers would like the most. Okay. Is this much traffic allowing me to generate more followers? Is it to the detriment of attracting followers? Are they getting there, they're liking the page, and then they're going, oh my gosh, this is just all over the place? Or I wasn't posting enough so that they would forget me when they would see a post. Eventually they would then go, I don't remember following her, and they would go back and unlike a page or something to that effect. So paying attention is a very good policy to follow when you are trying to determine how much social media is enough social media. When you are creating those posts, when you're writing those posts, which is what Marketing Words is, you know, all of the creating of the writing of this is what we do. So when you're creating those posts, a way to get people more engaged is very similar to what we talked about before, with a little bit of mystery. And my 3 favorite words when it comes to social media posts are these, this, and here.
Interesting.
So you leave out a bit of information when you're creating those posts, whether you're beginning to test or you're posting them, you know, quite often you've already decided how much is enough for your social media. Instead of saying, you know, come over here and come to this blog post and we're going to read about 1, 2, 3, and 4, then you can transform that and make a social media post or an email subject line or a paid ad or whatever you want to that's a little short copy, and say these 4 exceptional tactics improved readership, you know, whatever, 72% or something to that effect. So you're leaving out what these are or this.
Oh, I see.
And people go, what for? What 4 tactics? I want to read the 4 tactics. You know, are you doing these 6 things to help your pet live a longer life or whatever, instead of naming what the 6 things are? So that way people are curious and they click through. The same with the word here. You know, there are lots of help topics available online. Here, come here for a synopsis of the most popular or something to that effect, and they're looking for where here is. So as you're doing your testing to determine not only frequency of social media, you may also want to try some of those strategies to get click-through to your blog so that you're getting more traffic on your actual site.
Wow, wow. So Maggie, there might be some people out there thinking that that's the kind of teaser that makes them angry. It's like, why isn't it listed here? Is that being authentic, doing what Karon just suggested?
I actually love what Karon just suggested, and it's something I need to work on. I'm sitting here taking discrete notes as
Don't be discreet, honey. Just write them on down.
You know, if you have captured someone's attention, whether or not they wish you just put it all out there on social media, the reality is there isn't the space on social media.
Right.
So Karen's suggestions are perfect to entice someone to click that link and then land on your page. And once they land, I think Karon has nailed the attracting readers bit. And I think once someone gets to your website, that's when you need to focus on retaining readers. And that's where the authenticity comes into play. If someone is maybe irritated that you don't lay it out there on Twitter, but they get to your blog and they're instantly captivated by your sparkling prose and gleaming voice, they will stay and they'll click that subscribe button. They'll add you to their reader because you've captured them and then you've enticed them to come back.
Oh, that makes sense. Give us a really short little definition of authenticity, and then we can answer Carol's question.
Okay. Authenticity is being 100% true to yourself.
True to yourself.
In writing, I think the easiest rule of thumb to test your authenticity is to figure out how to write how you speak. And that isn't to include, you know, I'm not talking text speak, that maybe doesn't necessarily make sense, but how you would have a conversation with a close friend is how I think you come across as authentic to your readers.
I like that a lot. Carol says she's a big fan. And how do you find new followers for your blog?
Thanks, Carol. She knows I'm a big fan of hers, too.
We're all fans of each other, I hope.
Yes. You know, it's really overwhelming. This is something I encountered when I first started blogging, and I've been doing this since 2009. There's so many tips, how to attract readers, how to gain new followers, you know, 10 strategies for X, Y, and Z, and it can be daunting, right? You know, it's overwhelming, and you think you have to be out on all these platforms and doing all this social media. To me, it comes down to having a conversation with your followers or potential followers, not even people who are already there. So rather than spreading yourself so thin across 10 different channels, pick a few where you can really dig in and get to know people individually. Respond to comments, especially comments left on your blog or that you're tagged in social media. The dialogue is what people are desperate for in this digital age when there's so much out there. If you can establish a connection, a human connection with someone on the other side of the screen, you'll have a fan for life.
Wow, I agree with that, and I think that too many times we tend to neglect that part of the networking we should be doing online. So Karon, when you were talking earlier, and I love these, this, and here. I wrote that down. This is my notes now. So when you're doing that on social media, and social media, when we talk social media, let's be clear that we're kind of talking Facebook, Twitter, the places where you're not writing. I mean, on Facebook you could, but you're not writing a 500-word or 1,000-word post.
No.
How short should a blog post or a subject line be, taking it out of social media where you're kind of constrained, but taking it to your blog? What do we do with our subject lines?
Well, for subject lines, if you're talking about email, which is generally subject lines, a lot of these things have constraints, but it depends on what format you're in. From Outlook, which you can expand that whole section of the software to be able to make the subject line however long you want it visible, to Google. If you're looking at it on a phone where you've got little teeny tiny, I usually for email subject lines try to stay somewhere around 50 characters, and yes, that includes spaces because spaces take up space. But it's short. If you're doing social posts, typically I will write mine at 140 characters because then I don't have to rewrite the same post 10 times for LinkedIn and Facebook and Pinterest, and they all have different criteria. But that keeping it within one constraint, one, and usually it's the shortest one, is going to be more helpful for you because you don't have to worry about writing a 200-character email subject line and then somebody on their phone doesn't see but the first 4 words of it, or whatever that, may 4 or 5 words may come out to be. So
interesting.
It's easier for me to keep it all to one set of criteria.
So do you use any tools? Are you going to share at the conference? But you ladies are doing an advanced class, so will there be some advanced tools that you can share? I know that there are tools that help you create headlines and subject lines.
There are tools that help you create subject lines and blog post titles and things of that nature. Honestly, I don't use those. And what I'm going to teach is not tools that can take away from what you're trying to do, actually. In a lot of instances, the ones that I've seen, I look at and go, really? That's all you got? I'm going to give actual techniques and templates, if you will, that folks can follow when they're creating short copy so that it does actually drive the most traffic possible. And that's really what the short pieces of copy are all about. Email subject lines send people to the next step. If you don't catch them with the subject line, they won't open the email. If you don't catch them on the social media post, they're not clicking to your blog or wherever you're sending. If you don't catch them with the blog post title, they're leaving. They're not reading what's below. So every bit of traffic you get from one point to the other can be wrapped up in a little tiny character count. So you really have to be on it when it comes to writing those.
So I'm kind of hearing that there's a little bit of work involved here.
Not so much by the time we get through with the session. There's a lot of ideas, an entire list of ways that you can create all these different types of short copy snippets for these different places. And then when we get done with that, the cool thing is you can take all of the ones I'm going to show you and mix and match, and you get virtually an unlimited way to create all of this cool short copy, from Facebook ads to AdWord ads to email subject lines and YouTube titles and anything that's a little short that would drive people, send that traffic to the next step and get them over to you. So
Cool.
it is
great.
Cool. I think it's super cool, and it's not hard. It's not.
Excellent.
Once you hear the ideas and the strategies and what you do, it's just this light bulb going, oh, seriously? Why didn't I think of this before?
The light bulb, it has to go on over your head.
That's the reaction I get a lot of the time when I talk about this. So, and it's fun. It's fun to do.
It should be fun. Shouldn't it be fun, Maggie? I mean,
yeah,
if you're online and you're sharing, and we like to encourage bloggers to be as passionate as they want to be. But even when you're bringing authenticity to the table, what should you watch for? For instance, there are lots of subjects that might get you in trouble, especially in the pet universe. So if you're prepared for that, it's okay, but you need to kind of understand that in your authenticity, you might not want to make that declarative statement. You might want to stop and think about what it is and write it differently. Am I crazy?
You're definitely not crazy. The pet blogging community is certainly a passionate community, and it is a vocal community.
Yes.
So,
and it should be.
It absolutely should. That's how we learn, through these dialogues and sharing all of our experiences. Deciding to put something controversial out there needs to be a conscious decision, and you need to be open to the fact that that dialogue may not be positive. You should absolutely still be yourself. That doesn't necessarily mean inflammatory, but if there's a topic you are really passionate about, you absolutely should write about it, and write about it from the heart, and just be prepared to reply to any comments that come in that are negative. And of course, if someone is slanderous, you have control to delete those comments. But I think that that's an opportunity as well to really be yourself and reply from your own voice and get that discussion going.
I
But you
like
need to
that.
go into it knowing that that's going to happen.
Yeah, the discussion. The discussion is
Mm-hmm.
so important. Well, ladies, we're coming towards the end, and what I'd like to do is we'll do each individually. And Maggie, you're on right now. So, do you have one advanced tip or idea or something you can share? And we know you're going to go into more detail at the conference, but just one thing the listeners and viewers can do after this is over.
Absolutely. This is my number one tip, and I say this over and over and over to my writing students. Always read your work out loud.
I love it. I tell people that too.
Yes, and we're lucky. We all have pets in our house, so no one's going to think you're crazy. They'll just assume you're talking to your dog. But if you're striving to write authentically and write in your own voice, when you read your work out loud, your ear will kind of raise that red flag and say, this doesn't sound like you. You would never say that to a friend of yours. Delete that paragraph.
Yeah.
Read your work out loud. Even short copy. I think reading it out loud, you can hear any quirks and things you need to fix.
Yeah. I have to say, before we go on and listen to Karen's tip, I wish people would read their emails out loud. That's all. That's all I can tell you is sometimes I get emails and think, you wrote this and click send. You should have read it over and then read it out loud. But let's move on. Karon, do you have one tip you can share with the viewers?
Yes, when you are marketing your blog or any products or services that you offer, whether it's social media, email, or anything else, understand who you are communicating with. Your readership is not made up of one individual who has a certain set of the graphics, the demographics, the psychographics, and the geographics. Everybody is from a different place and has different viewpoints. There are commonalities that have brought them to you. But if you put out a social media post, since we've been talking about that more during this session, that is geared toward cat lovers who live in colder climates, you're going to alienate the dog lovers who live in hotter climates. This is just a very broad example. So by simply going through and doing some sort of free survey or asking folks to comment on an open blog post and find out who they are and why they've come to you, you can create significantly more effective marketing for your blog.
I think that's fabulous. I can't wait till the session because I know you ladies have so much to share. I did want to mention a couple of little housekeeping things, and then I'll let the two of you think about this question because this is how we'll end. I want both of you to tell me what your pet project is. But in the meantime, I want people to know Maggie and I do not have lower thirds, and the lower third is where it says our name and where we're from, because there were some technical difficulties here. You know how technology is. If you know me very well, you know that technology hates me. So beyond that,
I'm right there with you.
I want to also thank, which I tend to forget to do. I want to thank our producer, and today it's Tom Collins. He's in the background. He's the one doing all the techie things, and he's the one that's most upset the lower third doesn't work. So let's move on before we close out. And I would love to hear, Karon, what is your pet project?
Now define, what type of pet project are you talking about? A favorite project or an actual pet project?
Well, a project that you're involved in that you'd like to share, whether it's related to pets or whether it's marketing, something that you would like us to know about and maybe promote for you.
Okay. Well, this pet project is also a pet project.
There you go.
There is an organization in our community that is a no-kill shelter, but it also trains dogs. I don't think it does so much with training cats, or I'd have mine over there. And it operates on donations only. So that's one of the charities, organizations that my husband and I contribute to regularly. And we've just started with this particular one. There's also a veterinarian of ours that we go to that has what she calls the stray fund, and all the drop-offs that vets get that are tied to their front doors that they see, you know, a couple times a week or whatever, she'll bring them in, give them the shots, feed them, house them until she can adopt them out. So that's something else that we contribute to as well. And
so tell us what their names are. Tell us about the shelter. Tell us the veterinarian.
The veterinarian is Dr. Wendy Lilybear, and she's at Pet Friends, and that's in Columbia, South Carolina. And the other is Palmetto. We're in South Carolina, and the state tree is the palmetto tree. They're doing Palmetto Shelter, and it's also in Columbia. So good organizations.
Excellent. Thank you, thank you. We will try and get, we won't try, we will get the actual links to those places for the blog when we post this. So Maggie, you're up. What is your pet project?
Well, gosh, we've kind of had some chaos around here lately, so I've kind of been keeping my head down with the dogs. But I have been writing for a couple years now about these authenticity topics, and this upcoming BlogPaws talk inspired me to finally assemble it in a cohesive format, expanded with everything beyond the talk. So I have an ebook that I'm putting together. I have a designer who is doing her magic, which I cannot do, and it should be ready right around the time of BlogPaws.
Yeah. That's very exciting. Yeah. Well, as a former publisher, I'm excited. I approve of people writing books.
I'm thrilled.
Excellent, excellent. So ladies, you know, send me whatever written text information I can include in the blog about those pet projects, because we want people to have that. And I want to thank you for being here today. I can't wait for the conference. We have an advanced session with you two ladies. And if anyone has any other questions or questions we didn't get to, please, we will stop over on the Google Plus page and say hello to all of you. And if you still don't get an answer, you know where I am, Yvonne@blogpaws.com. Email me and I will get back to you. Thank you, ladies, for being here today at BlogPaws Cares and Shares.
Thank you. I can't wait to see everyone.